What's up, YouTube? Wolf190D back with another installment of Where Are Those Pesky Altars of Lilith? Now, I do, again, and I'm just going to reiterate this on all of these. If you're watching these sequentially, I apologize in advance for the repetition, but if you're just kind of skipping from one to the other, you might miss out. I do recommend finding these Altars of Lilith. It's a really good way of improving your renown in a given area. Not to mention, of course, the bonuses that you get are applicable to all of your characters. So all of those might seem minute, but they do help, especially when you get into paragoning and stuff. Those stat points that you might be running short on. So I do recommend running these down. It's just good way. Again, it's kind of double bonus. You get the stat points on all of your characters, but not to mention you also get that renown up in given areas, especially if you're working towards those ultimate extra 4 paragon points that you get for each region. So this one is going to focus on the dry steppes, and I'm going to start in the northernmost portion, not because Ked Bardu is there, but just because it makes sense to me anyway, logically, to start in the northernmost portion. So you have Ked Bardu, and this is in the Kotama grasslands. You have Ked Bardu, and you also have Farabru as waypoints for reference areas. Now, in the northernmost climbs, this is kind of a interesting one, but this one, the northernmost one, you do have to work from Skazglen, the deep forest. You have to come around here and jump over into this little tiny isolated region in the very north of the dry steppes. You have to get to that one there. And while you're up there, you may as well go ahead and grab this other one, which is it's sort of buried in this little impassable area, but there's a way to get up there. Relatively easy, straightforward to get to. And either one of those, probably the easiest way is to come from Turdolra. It's probably the most direct route to get to, at least to the one in the most northern area. You could also come from Farabru too, though, but it's easier to get at this northernmost one from Turdolra, right? Definitely, though, while you're up there, if you're already there, just come on down through the little pass and go ahead and get at the other altar of Lilith there in the northernmost portion of the Kotama grasslands, north of Ked Bardu. Right now, while you're up there, you can also grab 4 relatively quickly. You come into the Tusma Rift, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, but the Tusma Rift. And I do believe that is a stronghold area. And you do want to at least get into these stronghold areas. Some of these I have noticed, and I don't recall correctly if it's on this one in particular, but some of these you do actually have to start the stronghold because there are a couple of, I have noticed in other ones that there are a couple impassable areas that you won't be able to do until you actually start that stronghold quest. This one just outside of Ked Bardu. You come out of Ked Bardu and it's right there. The other one to the west is close to the Seaside Descent. So if you're out there doing Seaside Descent runs, hey, go grab that Altar of Lilith if you haven't done it already. And then, of course, in the southernmost portion of the Kotama grasslands, you come into this little cave and there's one buried in there. All right. Now I'm going to rotate counterclockwise off of this. So still in the dry steppes. Using the carrion fields as a waypoint. You have one to the north, you have one to the west, slightly south, and then you also have one to the east and slightly south. It's isolated in this little island area here, so you kind of have to run around one way or the other and get back in there and get to that one. This last one is down near this fortification and the Comdor Temple in the southernmost part of the Scarred Coast. And then, of course, the Scarred Coast transitions down into Kejitstan, so I'm not going to worry about that one right now. Now, the other one, if you're not into PvP, be really careful when you're going to get this one because it is in a PvP area. People can blood mark themselves, and you might run the risk of getting knocked out, getting killed, slayed, perhaps would be another term you could throw at that, by people that are running around down in here too. So just be on the lookout. Be kind of careful when you go to do that one. This next one is in the Temple of Rot. And it's not in the northernmost point. Actually, when you come into it, you can just run up here and get this one. That one's relatively open, I do believe. Though, I think, if I recall correctly, there's like some impassable rubble here. So don't let your GPS fool you. I think you have to come all the way around the southern portion and go in the main entrance of that one. And while you're there doing that one, you can also come and get this other one that's down just to the south of that, almost. Well, not almost. It's pretty much right on the border, and that's in the Girande. It's in the vicinity of that waypoint. Using the charnel house and the sealed archives as waypoints, well, specifically the sealed archives, you have one to the north of that and then one to the south and slightly east. So while you're down here clearing out some of these dungeons, working on some of your other renown, there's a couple within easy reach of that. Moving over to Karaisu, you do have one on the south side of Karaisu down there. Think you can grab that without having to activate that. So if you're just passing through, you can always grab that one. You also have the Sarin Caldera, which is where some of the world bosses appear. You have one right outside of that. And then you have two more. One, if you're in the buried halls, the easiest way to get to it is from the buried halls. And then of course there's one to the northwest of that as well. This other one though is on the other side of all of that. So if you're coming from Karaisu, you just head up to the north, and you can get into it through this open area right here. All right. Last but not least, looking around in the Chambatar Ridge, you do have one up in this ashen type of area. There is one buried up in there, and if you're traveling from Fate's Retreat, you have two within reach of that. All right, especially if you're going from Fate's Retreat all the way out to the Whispering Vault, they are quite literally right on the path that you would take either way. So there's one to the north of that central passage, and then there's one over to the west, right outside of this little, I don't know, I guess you call that like a vault or something along those lines, but it's right outside of that. Right, and there are 33 to track down in total in the dry steppes. So that covers the dry steppes. Hopefully you find this informative. I know it can be frustrating, especially if you're trying to pull this up on like just somebody who posted an image of a map with a bunch of X's on it. It's not impossible, but it's sometimes I notice difficult to zoom in on particular regions to see exactly where it is. So trying to save you guys some time and show you exactly where these are. Oh yes, the Onyx Watchtower. There is one inside the Onyx Watchtower. The other one though, as you're traveling through the Kargai Crags, heading north or south for that matter, if you're coming down from Kedbardu or if you're coming up from a different area, if you're passing through these Kargai Crags, there is one off the main trail, and it's up to the northeastern side of this portion of the Kargai Crags. So, oh, good grief! Did I try to skip over the Dinde Flats as well? There's one underneath of the bridge. This is actually like a bridge. You go down into the water, and there's a little pocket right there on the northeastern side of the bridge to get at, and then also on the south side of that little, I guess you could call it like a salt lake or something along those lines, but you have that lake. There's one on the southern side of that, and then there is one up there next to, or not, well, kind of next to, but you sort of have to go out of your way and around. You have to go up above these forgotten depths in order to get at that one. All right, the Temple of Rot. Yes, I covered that. Okay, so I do hope that this helps out. That is the dry steppes in its entirety, and you notice I have to zoom in, and the top part of my my HUD covers the top portion of the map up. So anyway, hopefully this helps, and as always, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Till then.